Good morning to all the students. This lesson is for class 8th for the subject of chemistry, topic characteristics of chemical reactions, which is covered in chapter 2, chemical changes and reactions, starting on page number 22 of your textbook titled Concise Chemistry by Selena Publication, and is being submitted to you on 12th April 2021. This voice is of Mohinisha Thakur. All students may now please open page number 22 of your notebook in front of you. If all students are ready, then let us start with this chapter. All students may now please listen carefully. Characteristics of chemical reactions. Number 1 is evolution of gas. Students, in some chemical reactions, a gaseous product is formed. If one of the reactant is liquid in a reaction, then gas bubbles are seen. This phenomena is called effervescence. As you may observe here on page number 2 of the notes, which is sent on 12th April 2021. In test tube, we have taken the dilute sulfuric acid. On reacting with zinc, it will form the zinc sulfate solution by the liberation of hydrogen gas. So here you may observe the effervescence, means the bubbles have formed. So whenever you will react the dilute sulfuric acid with zinc metal, zinc will displace the hydrogen and will form zinc sulfate aqueous solution with the liberation of hydrogen gas. Similarly, when sodium carbonate react with dilute hydrochloric acid, it will form salt, water, and with the liberation of CO2 gas. Now, we will discuss the second characteristics, which is change of color. So, students, in some chemical reactions, a change in color is noticed. This is due to the formation of a new substance with different color. This characteristic of change of color, you may observe this by the reaction which is written on the same page number 2 of the notes, which is sent on 12th April 2021. Here you may observe that when iron, which is Fe, you react with copper sulfate aqueous solution, which is of blue color, they will give ferrous sulfate. Here in this reactant side, iron will displace the copper due to in reactivity series. So it will become FeSO4, which is in green color solution, and copper, right? Similarly, when copper react with colorless concentrated sulfuric acid solution, it will give two products, not three products, which is copper sulfate, water molecules and sulfur dioxide. But in copper sulfate there will be in change of color, which is blue. Right? So this shows the change of color. Similarly, the another example of change of color has given on the page number 3. Here, when green color copper carbonate will decompose on heating, it will give black color copper oxide with liberation of carbon dioxide gas. Now, we will discuss the third characteristic, which is formation of precipitate. You know what is precipitate? We have discussed in the previous class. This precipitate are the insoluble substance which is get by the reaction. In some chemical reactions, solid insoluble substances are formed. These insoluble substances is called precipitate. So over here on the page number 3, there are some reactions have given to you in which the precipitate has formed, from which I will discuss two reactions with you. So first one is ferric chloride. When you will react the ferric chloride with sodium hydroxide aqueous solution of base, you will get the reddish brown PPT of ferric hydroxide with the liberation of sodium chloride salt. Similarly, in the second example of the formation of precipitate, when you will react the copper sulfate solution of salt with the sodium hydroxide solution of base, it will give you blue precipitate of copper hydroxide with sodium sulfate aqueous solution of salt. Now, we will discuss the fourth characteristic, that is change of state. So students, in some chemical reactions, the reactants change their state. Ammonia gas reacts with hydrogen chloride gas to form solid ammonium chloride. As this you may observe here on page number 3, that when you will react the ammonia gas, which is in gaseous state, with hydrochloric gas, it will form ammonium chloride compound which is in solid state. So here you may observe the change of state, that when the two gaseous reactants are reacting with each other, they will form the solid state compound. So here this you may observe the change of state, right? Similarly, in another reaction in which carbon is in solid state, will react with the sulfur which is also in the solid state and will form the CS2, which is carbon disulfide, which is in liquid state. So here you may also observe the change of state, right? Students, next we will discuss the topic types of chemical reactions. So types of chemical reactions. Number 1 is direct combination or synthesis. In such reactions, two or more substances combine together to form a single substance, like when you will react the two element which is carbon and oxygen, it will give CO2. Simply when carbon combine with oxygen atom, they will form carbon dioxide. This shows the direct combination. So combination reactions can be of different types. Number 1, element plus element give compound. Example, when hydrogen element react with the another oxygen element, it will give or will form compound, that is H2O. Similarly, the another example of element plus element give compound is when you will react the iron, which is also an element, with the another element of chlorine, it will form a compound which is ferric chloride. Second is element plus compound give compound. This also you may observe by example when you will add a compound which is carbon monoxide with element, then it is also form compound which is CO2. Similarly in here SO2 plus O2 give 2SO3. Now the third part is compound plus compound give compound. So students, whenever the two compounds react with each other, they will form compound. For example, when sodium hydroxide, which is also a compound, will react with HCl, which is also a compound, they will form two compounds, which is sodium chloride and water. Similarly, when potassium oxide react with the another compound of water, they will form one product which is of potassium hydroxides. So students, now we will discuss the experiment based on the first type of reaction, which is the combination and synthesis reaction. So the first part is when you will react the compound, that is lead sulfate, which is of black color, with element, that is oxygen. On heating they will provide you the white color lead sulfate salt, which is also a compound. And we have already discussed that whenever the compound will react with element, they will form compound, right? So on heating black lead sulfide in a test tube, it reacts with oxygen of air to form white colored lead sulfate. In the second experiment of the reaction, which is whenever the two elements react with each other, they will form compound, as we have already discussed it earlier. So when magnesium ribbon burns with a dazzling white light when it reacts with oxygen to form magnesium oxide.